happy to be here, and Dr. Talukdar, thank you for inviting me. All right, so as I was saying, I had the privilege of hearing Mr. Pillai, and he said some very important things. Can I move this picture from my... Yeah, there we go. He said some very important things, which I, from my international experience, I know it is already happening, which is, you see, he mentioned speed, technology, data, automation. All of these are going to impact you very, very heavily, I'm telling the students. And he mentioned also another very important thing, which I will be talking about too, which is the world has now become very, very entrepreneurial. The employer-employee relationship has changed so much, and it's all in your favor. And it's a big topic, but to make it very simple, earlier the employer was boss, the king, and we, the little employees, were yes sir, no sir, at their mercy. Today, the employer needs the employee as much as the employee needs the employer. And the good companies, the smaller companies, they have made the culture so very entrepreneurial that good employees, they feel that it is a platform they have for innovation and creating value. But anyway, let's start with what I have, what I am supposed to talk about, and the subject is there on the screen, which is leadership in the digital age. Leadership in the digital age, very, very important topic. Let's try to understand it briefly. I may not have a 1-hour speech, but let's talk about it. So let's start with a bit of history. When we talk of the prehistoric era, we generally talk about Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, etc. But I am going to look at it, and I invite all of you to look at it from the economic angle, how the human race has progressed economically through time. So around 12,000 years ago, our society looked like what you see on the screen. It was the age of hunters and gatherers. Okay. We went hunting in the morning, we came back with animals, we went fishing, we came back with fish, we went into the forest, came back with whatever fruits, honey that we could find, and that's what we ate. And next morning, we again went out and we hunted, we gathered. Okay, so that was the very first economic phase where that's how we lived, and there was very little ability to create value except to bring home an animal or fish or something. The next stage was a real improvement, which happened when agriculture, when we learned to cultivate, when the age of agriculture started. Because now, one family, you see, the earlier age of hunter-gatherer was not very scalable. Because one man could only bring home a certain amount of fish. If I needed 10 times more fish, I needed 10 times more people, but 10 times more people also ate 10 times more food. Okay, so the scalability was very little. In agriculture, what happened, now a family could cultivate a whole field of rice, paddy, wheat, and that could feed a whole village. So with the coming of agriculture, the economic climate moved into something much more advanced than hunting and gathering. Now we could create value, which is create food for others and for ourselves. And exponentially, one person could create food for a lot of people. Okay, and this enabled the human race, I'm told, to grow and expand beyond what would have been possible under the hunting and gathering age. So that was not very supportive for growth of any kind. Now with the coming of the industrial age, where our real interest in management and leadership begins, with the coming of industrial age, exponential growth now became possible. One man with a machine could produce thousands of pieces of something every day, which could be sold for thousands of dollars, leading to an expansion of the factory, leading to more production, more wealth, at least as long as the demand exceeded supply. And now came the digital age. Now the digital age and the information age is normally equated, but it's really, I don't think it is the same thing, because we entered the information age 20 years back in 2001. Because a lot of information suddenly became available, a lot of computer storage became available, and we, for the first time, the managers and even ordinary people had access to a lot more data than was ever possible. But the digital age is something more, the internet. Now a single person can go, like Mr. Pillai was saying, if you don't know something, go to Google, find out. Okay. We can now, like I'm talking to people that are in different cities probably. And you don't even know where I am. Look, and we don't need to know. I travel from US, Europe, India, and back and forth. I never have to tell anyone where I am because I have my American phone, it works. I can attend Zoom meeting, Google meeting, whatever. So this has really made anytime, anywhere business truly possible. So more than the information age, the digital age, information age made information possible and we could do a lot of things with the information. The digital age has really made anytime, anywhere business possible. We can be anywhere, we can be, and it could be any time of the day or night, we can get business done. We can go online, do our studies. Okay, so this is the information age. Now with the addition of artificial intelligence, computer assisted intelligent automation, and computer assisted digital decision making, and I don't want to drown you in all this technological words and acronyms, but now there are even self-learning systems. Okay, so anyway, so the digital age is here and you are at the very forefront of it. You have your whole life and it's a very great time to study and move into the industry. Now, we looked at these 4 economic ages: hunter-gatherer, agriculture, industrial age, and now the digital age. Okay, that was a nice historical summary, but how does it impact us as students of management science, as students of behavioral science, as an international MBA class? Okay, so I need you boys and girls to recognize the most important change that happened as humanity moved from one age to another, and that is mindset. Mindset change. What is mindset? It's our beliefs, what we believe in, our thoughts, what we think, our assumptions, our expectations. And mindset is what guides our behavior. It's guiding your behavior, it's guiding my behavior even today. You are attending this MBA, international MBA, because that's what you believe will lead you to success, and that's something you enjoy doing, you want to do. I'm here talking to you because I have some knowledge and I want to share it. I enjoy sharing it. I enjoy talking about it. Mindset. If we had a different mindset, we would not be talking to each other today. So the official definition of mindset is a set of assumptions, methods, or notions held by a group of people. So this is very important. So let us start our, if we are here to learn a little bit about leadership in the digital age. So let us start, forget about the hunter-gatherer and the agriculture. Let's start with the industrial age and see what was the management style. Okay. So here is a little picture, is very, you can understand it, looks like an org chart. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that organizations in the industrial age were very, very hierarchical. Top down, power was at the top, the most powerful, godlike managing director, owner of the company, the CEO, he was on the top. He could call the shots, and power trickled down. The people below him are less powerful than him, but they're also very powerful, so on and so forth. Hierarchical, old age no longer applies, but this is what was there and still there in many companies. The second, good point, bad point, whatever it is, we are not here to criticize, we are here to see what was there, was a heavy load of bureaucracy. What does bureaucracy mean? It means inflexible steps, inflexible processes involving many people. You want to buy something, you have to send a note to your manager that, sir, I want to buy whatever, a new something. He has to approve, he has to send it to his manager, he will approve, depending on the cost, the GM will approve, depending on the cost, the MD or the CEO will approve, and then it will go to purchase department, and then whatever. Bureaucratic. So a simple approval is to take 2-3 weeks. Okay. And sometimes, and the people, the way it was justified is that when you involve many people, bad things are less likely to happen because somebody will catch a problem. Maybe I ask for something wrong, it is unnecessary, very expensive for the company. There are other options. So maybe my manager doesn't catch it, but his manager says, hey, why are you asking for this thing? Why don't you take that? So bureaucracy had a purpose. They called it checks and balances, and checks and balances are still true today. It's not a bad thing. But the industrial age and that hierarchical structure took bureaucracy to a very high level, which slowed down things. But the important thing to notice, we are not here to criticize. The system worked. The system worked. Whether it was GE or Boeing or IBM, all of these very admirable companies that, you know, we all would have loved to work for them, they all had bureaucracy. They all had a top-down hierarchical structure. And it all worked. And why did it work? Because the pace of change was very slow in the 1970s, 1980s, or even before that, or even 1990. A new car took 7 years from conception to production. When IBM announced their IBM 360 mainframe, from announcement to delivery was like 14-15 months. Today it is no longer so. It is so competitive. You think of something, you go to research, you build it, you bring it to production, it's out in months. But anyway, so bureaucracy, hierarchy and bureaucracy were two of the attributes of management style in the industrial age. Another very important attribute was people were hired into a position, into a role that, okay, you are a purchase manager or you are a accounts payable clerk, and you fulfill your role. You follow orders. You are expected to follow orders. Dissent or questions were not encouraged or not even tolerated. If your job, do it. I'm the CEO, I know what is good for the company, I decide. You are here to do what I tell you to do. So people were expected to follow orders. And how did management motivate people and make them do? Of course, one is you have to follow orders, but more than that, the management tried to ensure good performance by this, what we call the carrot and stick, a reward and punishment method. You do something good, you get rewarded, you get a bonus, you get something. You don't do your job well, you get punished, or at least you don't get rewarded. But these are the attributes of the industrial age management style. But again, as I said, we are not here to criticize. It was a correct methodology for the 20th century mindset. And it did help generate massive wealth and well-being for humanity. It created a huge middle class, starting with the US after Second World War, and now India has a huge middle class. People like us who can now buy a house, car, we have disposable income, we can go for vacation to Thailand, Mauritius. Our parents didn't have all of these things, none of these things. So how did this wealth generation and the well-being for humanity happen? Because of the management style which we have just seen. That is what worked for the entire industrial age. And we are all of us here are beneficiaries of what happened. So we are not here to criticize, but we are here to understand what worked in the industrial age.